what's going on? Welcome back. Today we're going to be jumping into my best settings / controller settings here for Warzone Season 4. This will be a breakdown of all my different settings here in the game that should help you really improve at Warzone. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm and subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's hop into it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go just kind of briefly in here to some of my graphics settings just to kind of show you what I do happen to play on. I do play on 1440p, by the way. I do have to just set it like 100% resolution. I play on SMAA T2X. There's my anti-aliasing, and generally speaking, a lot of my textures are going to be on low. You should be running a lot of your textures on low, apart from like a few different things. So I'll just kind of go through this here very briefly, and you guys can pause the video if you really want to be able to kind of see what I'm actually doing. But generally speaking, these are going to be some pretty optimized settings that I've had someone go through my computer and help me out with, just because it's like I want my computer and my game to run as smoothly as possible. All right, now let's get into my actual controller settings here for this video. So we happen to have, of course, the controller as our aiming input device, my edit button layout here. We'll jump into this. This is going to be on tactical flip. So basically that means that I have my circle and my R3, pretty much my right stick flipped, so I don't actually melee with my right stick. I melee with R3. And I do happen to have a scuff controller, so my back paddle is technically my melee. It can be pretty much any of my other different buttons, since I have 4 of these paddles back here, which allows me to use any of my face buttons as my back paddles. But generally speaking, tactical flip is going to be a good button layout, just because you're going to want to crouch and stuff like that and dive really fast, because I have my dive just set to like as a press button, so that is actually really solid. Now let's move on down here. So bumper ping is on off, stick layout preset is on default. Controller vibration, you have this on or off. It's not going to affect your aim or anything else. I've just had it on my entire time ever playing Call of Duty, so it just feels natural to me. It's just kind of right there. Now let's get into my stick sensitivities. So horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity is going to be on a 6.6. I have played on this here for a while now. I just believe this is a perfect sensitivity for me to be able to move around fast, look around fast enough without overcompensating and overcorrecting my aim when I'm trying to actually take people out. And to kind of pair with that, I happen to have a 0.88 sensitivity multiplier. So what that means is that we take that 6.6 sensitivity, and then when I'm ADS, it goes down to a 0.8 of that 6.6. So it's not a full 6 sensitivity, if you guys kind of get what I'm saying. So it slows me down a little bit more, so which does in turn make me more accurate and hit more of my shots, and my accuracy is pretty good. So I definitely say that that is beneficial. If you're at a 1.0, try dialing it back to like maybe like a 0.9 or something like that, or a 0.8 if you guys want to do exactly what I'm doing. Sensitivity multiplier, this is just all in a 1.0. I don't feel like I need to change this. Just keep that right there. My vertical aim axis, of course, this is all on standard. As far as the gameplay stuff goes here, aim down sights behavior is, of course, on hold. Change zoom shared input is just, sprint tac, sprint focus. Automatic sprint is on automatic tactical sprint. This is a pretty crucial setting here for all of us on controller, just because we're constantly, mashing in our sticks, and that does cause stick drift. So if you're tuning your weapons and, the gunsmith, and you're trying to figure out why your tunings constantly are messing up, that is because your controller has too much stick drift, and you get that from mashing the sticks in, and of course just some general wear. So we're trying to save the controller and elongate its life, which means that we play automatic tac sprint. That's really good unless you're using like a shotgun or something like that, or something akimbo, dual wield. My equipment behavior is on hold. Weapon mount activation, ADS / melee. My interact / reload behavior, you want this on prioritize interact. So if you're playing something like multiplayer, tap to reload is perfectly okay. Definitely recommend tap to reload. But if you're playing, Warzone or even DMZ, prioritize interact is going to be your best friend, because that means you're going to be able to just, run over something, tap to pick it up. This can be super fast, super efficient. And then when you're maybe around a bunch of loot, to be able to reload, you just hold down your reload button instead of tapping it. So overall, it takes maybe just a quick second to get used to, but it is very beneficial, especially in those early game drops and you're jumping in and you're trying to find, a weapon. Prioritize interact is your best friend. Moving on down here, we actually have my armor plate behavior is on apply to all. That is really useful. Just hold down, for me it's triangle, since I'm on PlayStation. I hold down triangle and it will plate all of my plates up. So 0 to 3 plates, it'll do it all just when I hold it down. Even just for that one plate, it'll still do it all. Now in my advanced category here for the controller, we're going to talk about the target aim assist. So this of course has to be on. Aim assist type is on Black Ops. So we have a few different options in here with Black Ops, focusing, precision, and default. Pretty much what I'd recommend is you guys either go between default and Black Ops. I don't believe precision or focusing are really going to be beneficial in any capacity. Black Ops is going to be, a traditional, slower aim assist that's, pretty much stickier, to be honest. It's stickier. It helps you lock onto people faster. It's just overall a better aim assist. I believe it to be, the top tier aim assist to actually run. So I'd recommend for you guys to run that. Or if you really want to, you can stick with default, but I have been running Black Ops for a while, and I feel like it is definitely superior. Moving on down here, ADS aim assist on. We can have that as aim on assist. Aim response curve type is on dynamic. So dynamic and linear is going to be pretty much like the options I'd recommend as opposed to standard. Linear is going to be pretty much like no matter what your input is, it's going to be the exact same on your controller. I just prefer dynamic because it allows me to make those really fast, flicky moves, even though I don't have a super high sensitivity. So I don't have to like yank my stick way over, whereas on linear, it's a direct input correlation. So I can make a small movement and it'll really help, turn me around, as opposed to if I really yank my stick. It's not going to like wing my character way over to the right because of that, dynamic S curve, it's going to go down. So we had a real big ramp up, but then as soon as I move my stick over that middle, it starts slowing down, which does even and then help you be more accurate. So its overall dynamic is the number one in my opinion to be able to run, but you can run linear. I did run linear there for a while on Warzone 1, but pretty much on Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, I'm sticking with dynamic. ADS sensitivity multiplier focus 1.0. Transition timing instant, that has to be on instant. And we can just kind of go down here, my input dead zones. So this is going to be something that is going to be a little bit more based on your controller and your stick drift. Keep in mind that the more you lower this down, because it starts at a 0.15, if you continuously lower this down, you will get more stick drift, or if you have stick drift, it'll become more apparent because it'll be closer to that raw input. Basically, if you kind of messing with your stick. So I have 0.05 before pretty much my stick starts to kick in. So I have a tad bit right there, but that's enough for my stick drift not to go too crazy, and for my, my input and for my general like movement capabilities, for me to be able to flick back and forth and be able to jump back and forth and do some different movement stuff, for it to feel very fluid and snappy. I couldn't do a lot of my kind of challenging corners, kind of going back, flicking over, because it just had too much of a dead zone. So when I moved it down, it allowed me to do a lot more of that. So just keep that in mind between your left and your right stick. It starts at a 0.15. I have it at 0.05. I moved it down to a 0.10 and then a 0.5. You guys kind of have to maybe ramp up a little bit, but definitely recommend a lower input dead zone. That is going to be more beneficial. Your left, right stick max can be at like 99. Doesn't really matter. Left trigger, right trigger. I have this at 0 just because it's like, well, I don't need any dead zone for when I'm trying to, use a tactical lethal. So it doesn't really matter for me because I also play in tactical flip. So my left bumper, right bumper is my aim and shoot. So the right trigger and left trigger is going to be my tactical and my lethal. So I don't need any sort of dead zone for that. Down here in the advanced category though, for the gyro aiming, this is one of those categories that basically nobody uses because it's not really useful. There's nothing in here that you guys need to take note on. I mean, my FOV sensitivity scaling, I just have this on, but otherwise pretty much nothing in here is going to be of use. And then we have like some more stuff down here, but now let's get on down to the movement behavior. So auto move forward is going to be on off. Tactical sprint behavior is on double tap. So if you are playing without automatic tac sprint, it's going to be a double tap. That's what I have mine on. Now this is pretty useful stuff right here. Grounded mantle. So grounded mantle, automatic airborne mantle, and automatic ground mantle, you want these all on off, because the point of having these on is that like when you get close to something, if you jump, you pretty much automatically mantle, which sometimes can be beneficial, but 90+% of the time it is not beneficial. I'd rather just like actually hit X or something like that to be able to jump onto something, because if I want a jump shot, I don't want to accidentally mantle something to the left, right, or behind me, or in front of me for that matter. So I have all this on off, and it allows me to actually do some jump shots, stuff like that, without grabbing onto anything. Sometimes if you're like me, my parachute auto deploy is just on. I sometimes feel like I just kind of splat into the ground. I've done that a few times. I just have it on. You're not gonna get like one crazy advantage by having it off or on. I just happen to have it right there. And of course my sprinting door bash is on. And then let's go down here to some combat behaviors, but you guys can really see some of this. It's not going to be too crucial on what you're doing down here. This is not like anything nuts. Now, this is not exactly a controller setting, but in the view section here under graphics, this is very crucial to be able to have this dialed in. So your field of view is going to be on 120. You want this to be maxed out at 120 so you can see the most area on your screen. If you have a PS5, an Xbox Series X, whatever it's called, I mean, you realistically should be having 120 FOV. That allows you to see the most around you. And this other thing that you pair with it is super crucial, having it on affected field of view as opposed to independent. So as a quick example here, if I was to use 120 FOV and I had this on independent, I would zoom in. Whenever I ADS, I would zoom all the way into 80 FOV and my gun would get super big on my screen and really condense down everything. and that in turn gives you less of the screen to look at, gives you more recoil, kind of visual recoil. That's why people thought in Warzone 1 everyone's guns had less recoil on PC. It's because you're playing on the affected preset where it just didn't zoom the gun in as much. So the iron sights and everything would be smaller, but you have less that visual recoil because it's smaller. So it's one of those things I would highly recommend you play it on affected as opposed to independent. Independent is just definitely not it. Weapon field of view, I keep this on wide. That allows my weapon to look smaller on game. Just I want to be able to see as much around me as possible. It's not like my gun looks incredibly small or anything. I just play on wide. Don't play on narrow. That's going to make your gun look super huge, and we want to be able to see as much around us as possible. And then down here, your first person camera movement, I have this on 50% because I want the least amount of camera movement possible. It's just one of those things where I'd prefer to have less camera movement, especially when I'm like shaking or something like that, or there's, you know, an airstrike coming through. Having it on least is going to be the better way to go. And last but definitely not least, I want to show you guys some color customization settings. So this is actually going to be here in the interface tab. You guys go to interface, go to color customization under readability. And this is going to be pretty huge to make your game look a little bit more vibrant, a little better, and allow you to kind of pick stuff out. So on the color filter, I have this set to color filter 2. We have this on color filter target. Both world color intensity is at 70. So try this out. Interface color intensity is at 100, and my HUD color palette is on custom. So here's gonna be how I have this set up. So you like basically your dot on the mini map is going to be just that white. Your team is going to be that light blue. Your party's going to be the dark blue, so you can pretty easily distinguish that. The enemy is going to be red, so that's how we have red over all the enemies. It looks very nice like that. Very easy to be able to pick them out. And the neutral flags are just going to be white. I feel like that's pretty okay. And the contested flags are going to be yellow. So no matter what's going on, this general color palette right here is going to be super useful and really helping you distinguish everything. Granted, you can run something different, but overall, this is very good. Well, that's my full Warzone settings here for Season 4. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and of course, check out this other video on screen where I gave you guys my top 5 best setups, or top 7, my bad, after the new season update.